I'm almost hoping Russia nukes us just so our get a little bigger, dude. You guys are too soft.
Sean Strickland. What do we say about Sean Strickland? A man who prides himself on being unfiltered, preaching what he sees as core American values, detesting the weakness he sees in men in society, and a man who for some reason likes to jump on fighters who publicly talk about struggling with their mental health.
You guys need to get like an alcoholic rage beating.
For me personally, at times, like a lot of other people, I find Sean's approach to his personality refreshing. Like, come on, having everyone act corporate or polite all the time in the fight game, it can get a bit stale. And seeing Sean just unloading at a press conference or in interviews can be very entertaining. Nobody can deny that. Sean Strickland objectively has a horribly tragic past that no child should go through. And here's what I think. Sean Strickland is 100% justified in feeling offended by what Dragis has said to him. But I also feel like at the same time, Sean has had this coming for a while now. I think that Sean's acting a little bit hypocritical. I also think this is probably why you shouldn't attack people relentlessly or throw caution to the wind, because one day you're going to come across someone who's going to hit back at you hard. And if you can't take it, you probably should not dish it. Like the video if you end up liking it, and subscribe for more content similar to this. Leave a comment if you end up agreeing with the video, but really leave a comment if you end up disagreeing with the video as well. I'm very curious to hear some of your thoughts regarding Sean Strickland, the concept of free speech within the UFC, stuff that Dragis has said, crossing the line, things like that. Very curious to hear what you all have to say. Here's the crazy thing. When I was doing some research into this video, I honestly realized I forgot how many gross and unhinged things Sean has said in the past. I literally forget because I sit here waiting for the next thing he's going to say, and again, there's times where I laugh my ass off at the things he says. During my research, I became less and less sympathetic towards Sean. Initially, I was kind of upset at Dragis, and I was like, bro, come on. And I was pretty upset. I was rooting for Sean all the way. I was upset at Dragis. Now that I'm just doing more and more research, I'm like, damn, I'm like less and less sympathetic. Yeah, I've come to the realization, and I feel like I kind of knew this all along, and maybe some other people kind of realized this all along. Honestly, Sean Strickland's a bit of a douchebag, and he's also a weird, try-hard edgelord. Crossing the line, free speech. There's always been a bit of a slight balancing act whenever two fighters are about to fight. Usually the UFC and the fans, we all take a hands-off approach and let fighters say what they want. And for me personally, I do like it this way. They are, after all, like many people say, going to fist fight in a cage soon, so why do we really care what they say to each other? It's so fascinating to watch an individual like Sean Strickland, who's really pushed his thoughts and beliefs that people should not be soft, physically attack DDP in a crowd over some words DDP said to him. And again, here's the thing. I don't blame Sean. Sean being emotional makes 100% sense. I would also be really angry by the things Dragis said to me if I was in Sean's position. I'm also not condoning Sean attacking DDP in a crowd, but I think that about at least half of all people, 60% of people who are in Sean's position, would have a similar response. Since the early days, there's been fighters who have been very, very outspoken, whether it's directed at opponents or causes and ideas they believe in. Chael Sonnen, as we all know, took the concept of trash talk in the UFC, in my eyes, to another level. Insulting entire nations, talking about how primitive that nation is, talking about another man's wife. Chael did it all. Again, I think people should be able to say whatever they want without fear of violence, but I recognize that not everybody thinks that. Now, while Sean might pride himself as someone who is an alpha or not soft and other people are betas, I know for a fact that some people, like Sean, don't act logically in the face of really disparaging comments. Sean, like Colby, is very big on free speech and telling people not to be soft and men being men, preaching American values, and yada yada yada. And for a long time, Sean has criticized and attacked many fighters over the last couple of years. Let's just look at a couple of comments that Sean Strickland has made over time.
Yeah, his wife's a real fucking though. Like his wife, bro, like she has like I'm a fucking written all over her face. If you're a Brazilian fighter got hit by a fucking bus. When I read it, I was like, God damn, dude, if you can't dodge a bus, that's why you're not in the UFC. You guys need to get like an alcoholic rage beating.
I think most of us can agree, though, that some of the stuff he says will offend somebody or some group of people. Regardless, Sean says what he wants. He speaks pretty openly without much filter. I do want to note two things that Sean Strickland has said in particular, which I found very, very gross and distasteful.
It doesn't have to be how everybody else makes it seem. Stick around. Stick around another day.
This was Khalil Roundtree being very vulnerable, not in a good spot mentally, and Sean was definitely throwing some serious low blows. Seriously, watch the video. Did Khalil Roundtree say anything that was crazy or whack or quote unquote soft, weak, being a beta male? Did he say that, or is Khalil Roundtree just being vulnerable and sharing some stuff with us publicly? What Sean says here to me is just super out of line. Again, he's allowed to say it, but to me, this is just gross and disgusting. Let's also look at this moment, and this could actually be the most disgusting thing that I think Sean's ever said. Just to give you some background, this young woman died tragically in a car accident. She was like an amateur MMA fighter. Dana White and company found out about her story and posted about her. Really sucks. She died tragically in a car accident. Now let's look at Sean Strickland's response to this.
I know your name. I dug a little deeper. And I'm going to tell you guys, she wasn't that fucking good. 3-2, coming off a loss with a 1-1 record. And this is gonna sound fucked up, but this is just facts. If you didn't die, no one would have known your fucking name.
Honestly, this by itself should probably be a situation where Herb Dean steps in and disqualifies Sean Strickland from any future sympathy. This honestly is like, it's something that a 14-year-old idiot with no sense of compassion would say. Think about this. Who the hell, after someone dies, finds their record and then goes on and starts saying, I'm speaking facts. This is facts. This is facts.
You guys need to get like an alcoholic rage beating.
Let's look at this from another angle. Let's say that there was a female UFC fighter who publicly stated in an interview that she had been R-worded and then proceeded to kind of joke around or half joke around how other females should get R-worded so they can, I don't know, toughen up, see a different perspective, or whatever other crazy beliefs they might have. I want to believe that most of us would listen to that and think, wow, that was not funny at all. That was actually really stupid. So I'm sorry to say this if you're a Sean Strickland fan, but I do not feel bad with what Drickus said about him. Was it a low blow? Yes. Do I feel bad for Sean now reading a lot of these comments he said and a lot of this stuff? I don't feel bad. Does Sean have a tragic childhood? Yes. Does not change the fact that he says some crazy, insane stuff. And him using his childhood to try to cover himself from this type of stuff doesn't work in my eyes. And here's the part that's really frustrating. Now I'm forced to be in a position where I have to agree with Ian Garry on something. I don't want to agree with Ian Garry on stuff because he's rubbed me the wrong way recently, especially with that Jeff Neal mugshot stuff. Really rubs me the wrong way. But because Sean's such an idiot and a hypocrite, I'm forced to agree with him. So Sean says you shouldn't attack a man's wife and kids. Whether or not you agree with Ian Garry's relationship or whether or not you agree with Sean Strickland attacking Ian Garry, Sean Strickland did attack his wife, so he's being a hypocrite. Now when it comes to talking about a person's child, well, technically speaking, Sean, there was somebody's kid who just died in a car accident, and you made some really stupid comments about them. Now for the fight itself, if you don't care about the stuff I was talking about before and you just want to hear my thoughts on the fight, here's what I will say though. While I don't think that Sean's going to have a long title reign, I have a feeling that he might be able to pull this off against DDP. I do think that DDP is going to show some serious strength differences physically in this fight, especially in the grappling exchanges. We're going to see that. However, I'm still not convinced DDP can fight 5 hard rounds. Now granted, he might not need to fight 5 rounds if he can finish the fight early on. But in my eyes, after round 2, depending on the pace of the fight, I think Sean's going to start picking DDP apart on the feet, punch by punch. Sean Strickland, even though I think you're a moron and a hypocrite, I do think that you can win this fight, and this is your chance to get your sweet revenge for what DDP said to you.